Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Finding Your Financial Voice podcast with me, your host, Anita R Johnson. The mission of this podcast is always to give you sound financial tips that you can implement immediately, allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. Boy, today is going to be a special day. We have a special guest in our midst, and I'm excited about hearing all the things and sharing with you all the things that she does. We want to make sure that you get in the mix here. Also, a guest, and I'm saving the name for last, our guest is the cover woman for Affluence Financial Fitness magazine for women in our October issue, which is coming up, should be out right about now. And so if you have not purchased your copy, if you have not subscribed, if you have not done any of those things, you just might want to go and read her story. And she's going to tell you a little bit more about her story. I'm excited for you to hear her story. So, hello, Mechelle. How are you today? Hopefully, I pronounced it's spelled different. So, audience, let me tell you how it's spelled so you'll know why. I'm very, very careful about her name. It's Mechelle. How are you today?
I am doing fantabulous.
All righty now. That's what I'm talking about. So the coaching or a name of her business is Mrs. Get You Together. And let me tell you how it's spelled first. It's capital MRS period, capital GET, capital U2, the letter, the numeral 2. GETHER. So if you are looking for her on her Facebook page or her email or anything like that, make sure you put that spelling in there. So Mechelle, the first question I want to ask you is, how did you come up with this name?
So when I first started life coaching in 2017, I did a women's a group coaching session, and I gave away a few coaching sessions. And normally when I give away those coaching sessions, to be honest, very few people call. This one particular lady, she called, and I was like, okay. And so we met at a restaurant, because it was just an introduction to coaching.
Okay.
But my coaching sessions have a tendency of going deep and turning left. So we got into it, and she did not come back for coaching for like 2 years. So when she came back, she was like, oh, you are the real Miss Get You Together.
Oh, wow.
And so she would hashtag my post on Facebook whenever I post quotes and videos and stuff like that. And I was like, it might be pretty catchy. So later that year, I had an event because I do an annual event in March. It's called the Denim and Pearls. And so when it came time for the Denim and Pearls, I knew she was going to be there because she comes to all of my events. And I had a t-shirt made that said, Miss Get You Together. And so it caught on, and people have literally been calling me Miss Get You Together for the past 4 years.
Absolutely, absolutely love it. That was one of the things that really caught my eye when I saw that. I was like, nah, that's unique. I love it. I love it. Well, now that my curiosity has been captured on the Miss Get It Together. And why you chose that name. Tell us a little bit about what you do. You have so many things that you do. And I know all of it is your passion. What your event planner, master certified life coach, innovator. What is it that drives you to doing these things, and what is it that that you can offer an individual?
So I have really always been a person who did a lot of stuff, even in high school, even growing up. in church, doing cheer, doing school, doing school events. So I literally have always been a person who did a lot of things. I discovered very young that I was gifted, and most of what I put my hands to comes to fruition because my hands are anointed. And I tell people that all the time. Makes me think of when they say you got the Midas touch. Yeah, I'm one of those Midas touch people.
I
But
love
I
it.
found myself in a really, really dark place in 2010 and 2011. And it was so dark for me after being married 19 years, after being a pastor's wife and a co-pastor. I found myself walking away from church. And when I walked away from church, I found myself with such a void, in so much pain because of where my life had turned to. I never thought that that would be where I would be. And I was suicidal. I actually attempted to commit suicide a couple of times. But I remember one day waking up and saying, okay, God, so you just really not going to let me die. Like, I'm drinking, taking pain pills and muscle relaxers, hoping that I don't wake up, and I wake up every time. So I said, okay, so since you're not going to let me die, then that means there must be a purpose for me being here. And that day, I decided that I was going to start a new chapter in my life. And I birthed a women's support group on Facebook called The Next Chapter for Me. And my heart's desire was the things that I had endured: a very public divorce, my daughter being sexually assaulted and getting pregnant at 13, having my grandson at 14, my family being separated, being investigated by Department of Children and Family, my daughter being expelled out of school, going through a court case. It was a lot. And I felt like I was going through it all by myself. In hindsight, I feel that that was the worst part of it. Going through it alone, feeling like I'm going through this and it's so much that I can't even tell nobody what I'm going through. So from that day, I purposed in my heart that if I found somebody who was going through anything and they just needed somebody to be there for them, to hold their hand, to pray with them, to talk with them, to be their secret keeper, I was going to be that person. Years later, I saw a video where Miles Monroe said, you should be able to sum up the purpose of your life in one sentence. And I started really doing some self work and some heart searching. And what I came up for my sentence was, is to be to others what no one was to me.
Ooh, girl, now. Wait a minute. Don't start quoting no scripture around here. You about to get your praise on. About to make me get my praise on with you, girl.
Yes.
I work with women every day through a program that domestic violence women. And I'm just amazed at the strongness of some women in those programs, and I'm amazed at your strongness. Not really amazed, saying like, okay, you can't go through that and do that, but just amazed that you hear and you can talk about it and you can help others get through the through.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because an abused, I married young, wasn't a survivor of domestic violence, and also tried to kill myself as well, commit suicide as well. And I was like you, so what is it why ain't you just letting me just go about my business?
Yes.
Yeah, go, God, just let me go about my business. And then when I found my purpose, just like you, it's just an amazing purpose and an amazing thing to do. So I definitely commend you for sticking with it and sticking with it. I love it. I love it. So tell me, I see that you have workbooks and a couple of books that you have. Tell us about managing your fears.
Managing Your Fears was birthed out of my first time flying.
Okay.
My dad was a truck driver, so I grew up on the road. So it don't take nothing for me to gas up and go ride.
I hear you, girlfriend.
And so I've always been afraid of flying. But
Mm.
I said, now that I'm in my second marriage and my current husband, he's retired Air Force, so he's like
Oh, wow.
a pro at flying. So
Oh,
so for me, I was like, I think I want to start flying because I know that what I offer goes beyond the places I'm able to drive.
no.
So I need to start practice flying. So last year I took him to Vegas for his birthday and I had never flown. And
Oh my gosh. Okay.
right. And everybody was like, so you gonna take a big people flight for your first
Uh-huh.
flight.
Hmm.
And he is so patient and he is so gracious. Like he had been coaching me, he had been pep talking me, he had been holding my hand through the process. And so I'm on the plane. So I made it to the plane
Uh-huh.
and I heard the roaring of the engines and like my anxiety was going to explode. And he grabbed my hand, he called my name, and he has this way about him where he calmed me. And he said, "You're going to be okay." And his voice brought me to a space that I could then hear the Spirit of the Lord ministering to me. And so I began to say, okay, you can't die because there's so much more that
Mm.
God has promised you.
Okay. Okay.
So that brought me down. And then as I'm flying, like it calmed me to a place that I opened the window and watched the flight.
Oh, wow.
And as I'm going through that, I begin to hear the Lord say, and I'm one of those people that, like when I said the Lord said, like me and the Lord, we have conversations. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
he speaks directly to me. And so he began to give me 10 things. The first thing he said was face your fears.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do that with my eyes closed. So I
Mm-hmm.
had to open my eyes. And the second thing, it was don't miss the message because your eyes are closed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Years ago, I watched a video about a paradigm shift, and the guy said, whenever you are afraid or you think something is bad, half it.
Mm.
It's never as bad as you think it is. So I heard the Lord say, half it. It's not as bad as you think it is. So then we were flying and the flight it was smooth. We was going. And then we hit some turbulence. So then I'm I'm going back to fear. And then I hear the Lord says, sometimes you will experience turbulence.
Mm. Mm.
So
Wow.
while we were experiencing the turbulence, the pilot came on and he said, we're going to raise our altitude to fly above the turbulence.
Mm.
And then I heard the Lord said, don't go low, go high.
Mm.
Too often when we feel turbulence or there's conflict or there is a challenge presented, we go low. We take the low road.
Mm.
When, like Michelle Obama said, when they go,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we go
we
high.
go high. And
Mm-hmm.
then the
Mm.
seventh thing I heard him say, steady motion covers more ground.
Mm. Wow. Wow.
Then when you rise above, it gets smoother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when we were at altitude, I could hear the engines not roaring in the same manner that they were. And then it came to me and said, let the wind be your helper in cruising altitude.
Mm.
And then finally, it was, there are some things you see only when you fly high.
Mm. Look out now, you too much for me today.
Look, and this how he wrapped it up. Trust the voice of the pilot. His
Mm.
voice will bring you comfort in turbulence.
Mm.
The captain is preparing for the turbulence in times of smooth flying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can sleep knowing that the pilot is in control.
Mm. Wow. Wow. Boy, I tell you something else. I ain't gonna be messing with you today now. I know I know we supposed to be talking about finance, but we talking about sometimes we get off track on this on the show here, but
Yeah.
it's a good off track. It's a good off track. I'm not mad about it at all. Okay. But I love it. I love it. So where can people find Managing Your Fears?
So Managing Your Fears will be out in January. My first book was titled Frozen.
Okay.
And I heard the Lord as I was driving say, there are many who are mentally frozen.
Mm.
He
Oh boy.
said,
Oh, I need that one for some of people that I'm dealing with on their finances. They frozen mentally,
yes,
and because we do talk about mental health and money and how money, just the talk of money, is taboo, and
yes,
that is I need to I got to have that. Got to have that frozen.
yes. And because when trauma happens,
Mm-hmm.
if it's not properly
Yes.
processed,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
become stuck in that moment.
Mm. Oh, Lord, I got to get you on a panel along with one of our other contributors to Affluence, Dr. Nicole. And Dr. Nicole is a trauma, her specialty is trauma, general trauma.
Yeah,
And we talk about, and I talk about trauma a lot of financial trauma in the Black community, and how that trauma has led us to move on our finances
because we're frozen.
because we're frozen. Okay, all right. You know, I'm writing this down.
Yes,
I'm going. We're gonna have a panel discussion with you, myself, Dr. Nicole. I don't know who else. We'll find some other folk that need to be on that panel.
listen.
Yeah.
And one thing you will learn about me, I'm ready on go. One of the things I tell Candace all the time, I'm like, Candace, I've been on the backside of the mountain preparing for such a time as this.
Mm, mm, mm. Wow. Ooh, I
So,
love it. I
so
love
I'm
it.
ready. And so in Frozen, I teach and this one gonna get you. So get your pen ready.
Okay, I got my pen ready, girlfriend.
I teach a coaching model called the 3 A's.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's accept, acknowledge, adjust.
Mm.
And it was this coaching model, even before I knew what a coaching model was, the Lord had gave this to me to work through the process of forgiveness.
Ooh, we now.
So I tell about a 4 year span of my life and how I came to the point of being in anger and walking through that process of forgiveness.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Too often in the Black communities, we don't have tools and resources
Mm-hmm.
to be able to process what's taken place and what has happened in our lives. So we become stuck, we become frozen. And it was this coaching model that helped me to thaw out, as they say.
because you was frozen.
I say unfrozen. They be like, that is not grammatically correct.
Girl, you don't bother me, okay? Just go do your thing, okay?
Like, I'm unfrozen.
I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I'm really excited about, the conversation that we're having about this and stuff. If you haven't been following us, our guest is Mechelle, and she is a seasoned, like she say in her bio, event planner, master certified life coach, and innovator. She is Ms. Get You Together. Now, let me spell that for you. Get, GETU, the letter U, the number two, together. So that's the name of her business. And she has several books. Frozen is one we were talking about. She's talking about her new book that's coming out, Managing Your Fears. And so I'm pretty sure she has some other things, but we're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. We can go ahead and also, let me just do this before we go on break. She is our cover girl for the Affluence Financial Fitness magazine for the October issue, October 22 issue. If you have not gotten that issue, if it is out, it's on MadCloud. You can find it on my Facebook page, Anita R Johnson Financial Fitness, Anita R Johnson Financial Behaviorist, or you can check Money Wisdom for Women group out, and you will find that. Even we have Affluence Financial Fitness for Women Facebook page. All of those things are on our pages, and you can find the link to purchase those. Now, you can get a digital copy as well as a printed copy, and her picture is in bold on that, okay? It's there. She working that, okay? So we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be right back in 2 shakes.
Money Wisdom for Women is having another membership drive, and you don't want to miss it. During the entire month, you can register to become a member of Money Wisdom for Women. Founder Anita R Johnson created Money Wisdom for Women membership to equip women with wealth building skills, allowing them to leave a legacy for their children. Signing up for membership is easy. Go to www.moneywisdomforwomen.com to sign up for these life-changing services today.
Okay, welcome back. This is Anita, your host for Finding Your Financial Voice podcast. And the mission of this podcast is always to give you sound financial tips that you can implement immediately to leave a legacy for your family. And we have a special guest, and although we off track a little bit today, it's all good. Well, I see, Miss Mechelle, I see on your bio, one of the things that you say on your bio, it says, my heart's desire is to leave a legacy that impacts generations to come and to create generational wealth to come by being a world changer. Tell me about that.
So I have 3 children, and they grew up in a very toxic environment. My previous marriage was, I don't know if there's a word that's worse than toxic when it speaks about a bad relationship. And that was what they grew up in. That's how they learned life. That's how they learned relationships. That's how they learned how to deal with each other. That's how they learned how to deal with me. That's how they learned the lack of respect for me. And when I divorced and separated from my first husband, I began to do the self-work, not just for me, but because at 36, I became a grandmother. And I did not want the trauma and the toxic environment to be what he grew up in. So in doing the self-work and meeting my current husband, life began to look like the narrative I was writing. One of the things I often say to people when it comes to your past is you can't unhappen it. You can't unhappen it.
Okay.
But every day that you are alive, you have an opportunity to change the narrative. And that's what I wanted to do, is to change the narrative and the course that me and my children and grandchildren were on. You know, the Bible says that a man is supposed to leave an inheritance for his children's children. Um, and I wasn't, because trauma that does not get handled gets passed down.
Oh boy.
And I wanted to change what I was passing down.
Wow. I love it. Let's talk about your master certification life coach program that you have.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because one of the things that we want to do is we always want to do is we want to give people hope, pray, hope that they can come out of their financial situation better. When they come to listen to this podcast, come to any webinar that I give, if I'm interviewing any guest or any of those kinds of things, we always want to leave people with a hope that they can improve their financial situation, not only improve their lives, improve their mental health, but improve their financial health too as well. Now, you certify life coaches. Is that what I'm reading here? That you
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So tell us a little bit about the certification program and how somebody can get in touch with you if they want to become a life coach and improve and be an entrepreneur and improve their financial health.
Absolutely. One of the mantras we teach and live by, because like I'm a believer that to change the narrative, to change generations, it's time out for us practicing what we preach, and it's time for us to preach what we practice. So when it comes to what I teach, what I tell, what I preach, it's not what I've read, it's what I do. So when I became a life coach and I began to see the work in life coaching, I discovered the mantra that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if you get your finances together, but your life is jacked up, your finances are going to go back to being jacked up.
Oh Lord.
Because
I'm glad you said it and I didn't, because they don't listen to me.
well, you know, I miss Get You Together, so I can say that stuff.
All righty now.
Yes, that was definitely a Miss Get You Together moment. So I've always been an innovator, so I don't know how to be anything beyond extra. Like, it's a challenge for me to not be extra. So when I started life coaching, going through on the application, it was like, so what do you want to do in 5 years? What do you want to be in 10 years? So I was like, in 5 years, I want to be coaching coaches. In 10 years, I want to have my own certification. So that was my 5 and 10-year goal. But in 1 year, I was coaching coaches. Like all of my clients were either coaches or executives, pastors' wives, people who were in leadership. So I became a leader of leaders. And then I went back and got my second certification, and it was a master life coach certification and a the trainer. So it was a dual certification. And part of what we had to create was a program ourselves, one that we will be able to curate and train. I have a degree in education, so curriculum building is something that I've been professionally trained to do, but decided I didn't want to be a teacher. So I began to utilize what my student loans had done paid for. So I went and I created a life coaching. I
I hear
created a
you.
life coaching course. So I'm thinking, okay, so I'm gonna create this and I'm gonna build on it, and in 10 years it'll be good. So my niece and my best friend, who they were already doing forms of coaching, they was like, well, we'll try your little certification. I was like, for real? And they was like, yeah. So I walked them through the certification. It was so life changing that I was like, oh my God, I can't wait 10 years. I got to do this now.
Mm, mm.
So in 2019, in February, I took my first two coaches, which was my niece and my good friend. I took them through that process. And that April is when I launched Embrace You Coaching and started certifying life coaches. So our coaching program, we always say that it is second to none because we have not found a course that offers what we offer. In our course, we don't just give you videos to watch or give you a book to read. We actually walk you through the process, and we teach it in a 3-step process. We focus on changing your mindset, then we give you skill set, and then we give you a toolkit. So when you leave our course, it's not just I'm gonna take these 4 hours or I'm gonna go for a weekend. It is a 15-week course that has 5 weeks of pre-course work. We get down to brass taxes. Like, we deal with things like mom and daddy issues. We deal with things like abandonment and rejection. We deal with things like managing your own self trauma, because we have too many bleeding leaders. So our goal is to help you coach you, and then it's your success in coaching that you utilize to coach others.
Lord have mercy. It has to be the universe that brought us together, because those are some of the things that have created in my own package for
Mm-hmm.
people. Is, my whole thing is mindset, money mindset, changing the words. Like, for instance, we don't call it a budget because we say budget is money on the dime. We call it financial spending plan, and
Mm-hmm.
it's more acceptable that way, because as soon as you say budget, people tell me, "Oh, I can't spend, I can't do this." Ooh, and then they don't follow through. So that's part of the mindset.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you brought that up. Basically just bringing that together. Bringing that information together. Now, tell us, how can someone get in touch with you through all the things that you're doing? Where can they find you? And do you have any upcoming events?
So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram as Miss Get You Together. You can find me on YouTube as Miss Get You Together. Uh, so my coaching program, is the name of the company is Embrace You Coaching. And you can find information in regards to our coaching, our program, and the services that we offer. And I have a landing page that will take you to everything Coach Mechelle. And I'll spell it for you. It is Canady, Canady, the word enterprises, Enterprises, Inc.com. And if you go to that landing page, it literally will take you to everything me. You can find out about me being a public speaker, me as a workshop facilitator, me as a host. You can get signed up for our life coaching program. We offer a payment plan for your investment. So we help you throughout the way. You can find out about scheduling strategy sessions with me, one-on-one coaching, because I do take on a small clientele for as a personal life coach. And then Yeah, my books. You can access my books. I also have a fashion company called Zi-Fi Designs, and we have a t-shirt line on there. We have some purses. I do some styling and image coaching, and that is named after my two granddaughters, Zion and Sapphire.
Mm.
Me and my grandson Tyler, we have a home bakery where we bake homemade pound cakes. We bake about 14
Oh, wow.
flavors of homemade pound cakes. And that company is Tyler Tasty Treats. He actually does a lot of the baking. So when I say that I am creating generational wealth, it's not just a catchphrase. It's what I do. So yes, go to Canady Enterprises Inc.com and you can access everything.
Great. Well, if you have not been listening, we have had a great moment today with our guest, Mechelle, and I'm just excited about being part of her, just being in her presence, just is really an honor for me to be in your presence. So thank you so much for being our guest today. And I want to thank our audience for listening. Finding Your Financial Voice podcast. And, of course, I'm the host, and where we give some financial tips that you can implement today. And, we've had our special topic. Remember that she is the cover of the Affluence Financial Fitness magazine for the issue of October. Now, the theme for the October is family business that's basically run by the woman of the house. And so she and her family are together running this business. And so we are happy that she decided to come on and allow me to interview her on this on our podcast. So anyway, make sure you take advantage of and you get her information. Go back and listen to this podcast again if you did not hear the contact and all the information that you want, because it's a wonderful podcast. It's a wonderful interview. And I want to just thank all of us for listening. Make sure you go to the website, moneywisdomforwomen.com, sign up to be on our mailing list, get your complimentary copy of the magazine, and go ahead and get all the magazines. Okay, get them all. Get them all. So anyway, thank you, Mechelle, for being here, and love you so much. And I look forward to speaking with you again.